In 1987, a mountaineer exploring a cave on Mount Owen in New Zealand found a claw. Not a fossil, not a bone fragment. A complete, intact claw, with scales, tendons, muscle tissue, and a leathery outer covering that still looked almost fresh. The animal it belonged to had been dead for more than 3,000 years. The claw was nearly 9 inches long. The toes were thick and powerful, with dark, curved talons. The skin was dried but uncracked. The tendons were still taut. It was found in a dry cave on the flanks of Mount Owen, in a region where the cool, stable climate had preserved organic material with almost no decay. The cave had sealed it from oxygen, from moisture, from time. When researchers first saw the photographs, their instinct was that someone had made a mistake. Claws do not survive for 3,000 years looking like this. But this one did. The claw belonged to a moa, specifically to an upland moa, one of 9 species that once lived only in New Zealand and nowhere else on Earth. The largest species, the South Island giant moa, stood up to 12 feet tall and weighed 500 pounds. To understand how big that is, it was taller than most doorways and heavier than a riding horse. The moa had no wings. Not vestigial wings. Not small, useless wings. No wings at all. Not a single bone where wings would be. The moa had been flightless for so long that the wing anatomy had vanished completely from its body plan. It had lived in New Zealand for over 50 million years. In that entire time, it had never developed a meaningful response to land predators. Because there were none. New Zealand had no native land mammals. No wolves, no cats, no bears. The moa simply had no reason to run. It was the dominant large animal in its ecosystem. It browsed vegetation at heights nothing else could reach. It had no survival instinct for what was coming. There was one predator, a bird, Harpagornis morae, known today as Haast's eagle, the largest eagle that has ever lived. The female weighed 30 pounds and had a wingspan of up to 10 feet. Her talons were the size of a modern tiger's claws. Scientists have found moa pelvic bones with talon puncture marks, and the spacing of those punctures matches the Haast's eagle grip exactly. Haast's eagle hunted by diving from the forest canopy at speeds estimated up to 80 kilometers per hour. It would strike the moa at the pelvis and the base of the skull simultaneously. A grip evolved over millions of years specifically to kill something 500 pounds in a single strike. The moa and the eagle had been locked in this relationship for millions of years. The eagle evolved entirely around the moa as its prey. The moa had no counter-adaptation because it had never needed one. Until humans arrived, this system had been in perfect balance. Polynesian settlers reached New Zealand around 1280 AD. They are the ancestors of the modern Maori people. Within approximately 200 years of their arrival, every single species of moa was extinct. 200 years. 50 million years of continuous existence ended in 200 years. The moa had no fear of humans. It had never encountered a land predator. It was large, slow-moving, and easy to locate. Maori hunters could approach them directly. Excavated middens, ancient refuse piles, contain moa bones in large quantities alongside evidence of cooking and butchering. The meat was eaten. The eggs were eaten. The population had no time to develop a fear response before it collapsed. When the moa disappeared, Haast's eagle followed within decades. The prey species that had taken millions of years to build a specialized apex predator around it was gone. By approximately 1400 AD, both were extinct. Here is what makes the moa unusual among extinct animals. The Māori remembered them, not as myths, not as legends of monsters, but as real animals they had known. Oral traditions passed down through generations described a giant, flightless bird, described its size, its behavior, where it lived, how it moved. When European scientists began collecting bones in the 1830s, they had no idea what they had found. When they showed the bones to Maori elders, the elders told them exactly what they were and described the living animal with accuracy that matched the skeletal evidence. The biologist Richard Owen formally described the moa in 1839 based on a single bone fragment. He named the genus Dinornis. Maori oral tradition had been accurately preserving knowledge of this animal for 400 years before Western science identified a single bone. Across New Zealand's cave systems and dry mountain environments, researchers have found moa feathers, skin, entire feet, and skeletal assemblages with soft tissue still attached. The Mount Owen claw is not the only example. It is simply the most complete and visually striking. In 2013, researchers at Murdoch University sequenced Moa DNA from bones and feathers. The DNA was fragmented but complete enough to place all 9 Moa species firmly in the ratite family, the same group as ostriches, emus, kiwi, and cassowaries. A 2009 isotopic analysis published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society showed that different Moa species occupied distinct ecological niches, browsing at different heights, eating different plants. 9 species, each filling a different role, all of them gone within the same 2 centuries. In 2023, Colossal Biosciences, the company already working to de-extinct the woolly mammoth and the thylacine, announced that the Moa is on their active research list. The preserved soft tissue and high-quality DNA from New Zealand cave specimens makes the Moa one of the best preserved extinct species on Earth. The question is not whether the DNA exists. The question is whether the egg biology can be reconstructed. The Moa's closest living relative is the kiwi, which is very small. Finding a surrogate or an artificial incubation pathway is the key unsolved engineering problem. The Moa has been gone for 600 years. Its claw survived intact in a mountain cave for 3,000. Whether the animal itself could return is no longer a question of science fiction. It is a question of engineering and time. The Mount Owen claw is now held at the Museum of New Zealand Te Papa Tongarewa in Wellington. It is on public display. You can stand in front of it. The scales are visible. The tendons are intact. 3,000 years after this animal was alive, its foot is still here. And for the first time in 6 centuries, there are scientists who believe the animal itself might not be far behind. Subscribe to Forgotten Earth. We will cover the de-extinction story when it breaks.